Hey guys, Nathan McCullough here. I am a future diamond director from America, the East Coast of the US, and I am the co-founder of STI Unleashed International, which is a group of global wellness entrepreneurs that are committed to the transformation of thousands of lives of people all over the world. And our mission is to empower and enable people to unleash themselves and be the best version of themselves in health, wealth, and happiness, right? So that's the reason for the existence of our community, right? The STI Unleashed International family, right? So that's our purpose that we're trying to fulfill in the world, right? So that is our why. So the topic that I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about today is the why. You know, you hear so many people out there talking about the why and what moves you and what's your motivation and what's your driving, what's your burning desire, what's your driving purpose, all of these things, right? And you hear people talking about that all the time because it's extremely important to really understand not only what you're doing, right, and the goals that you have, right, which is the what, but the why behind them, right, because that goes down deep into who you are as a human being, right? These are deeply held desires that I believe, in terms of as your purpose, that they're the reason that you exist as a human being. They're your calling. They're, you know, in the sense of a vocation. They're that which you are here to fulfill on as a human being. So I think really spending time and getting connected to the reason for your existence is super important, right? Because it gives you the kind of unshakable foundation on top of which you can build a life that's really well lived. So I wanted to talk to people a little bit about how to create your why and how to discover that and create that for yourself, because I feel like in some ways it's still a little bit mysterious for people. So let's break it down and help people really understand what it is and how you can create it for yourself. Because when you get really crystal clear about what your why is, you will be literally unstoppable when it comes to creating and manifesting what it is that you want for your life, because that's the way that the universe works. You know, so many of us have heard of the law of attraction and, you know, different things like that. But the idea is that when you get crystal clear in your mind about the things that you want for yourself in the future, and this is a crucial part, and you write it down and you put it onto a vision board where you're actually putting your thoughts down into reality, then that's when the power of manifestation just kicks in. So many of us, you know, maybe we understand the law of attraction intellectually and things like that. But the reality is, if you just understand it intellectually, then you're going to be going around creating things randomly because you haven't intentionally set your sights and focused on what it is that you really, really want for yourself and your life. So you'll just be creating things, you know, because you're always going to be creating both positive and negative. So you want to be clear about what your intention is and why you're doing what you're doing so that you can intentionally create what you want for your life. So let's get into it. The first thing that I think is super important is understanding that as a human organism, as a human being, part of our biological makeup, right, on a physical and spiritual level is to move away from things that are uncomfortable, things that are painful, things that are even the perception of pain, which is fear, right? So things that we don't want in our lives. We are designed to move away from them, which is why most people, they want to lose weight. They have, you know, they have the goals that they want. But because that move away from the pain is going to be your stronger default mechanism, so it's going to be the thing that you do naturally always, we spend the majority of our lives not moving towards what we want, but moving away from what we don't want. So we end up living these lives of just whatever happens, like in reaction to things. So the other move is we're constantly moving away from pain and towards pleasure, things that we want. So if we're not clear about this and we're not careful about getting clear about what we want, we'll move into pleasure as it shows up, sensually, in terms of chocolate, television, drugs, alcohol, sex, complacency, video games, movies, television, like these things that we move into, which are also basically ways of escaping the things that we don't want in our life. So that's step number one, is recognizing that you are always going to naturally move away from what you don't want and move towards pleasure, things that you do want. Or if you're not clear about what you want, it'll be just moving into pleasure, carnal pleasures. So it'll be moving into distractions away from the things that you don't want. So comfort. You'll move towards comfort. Let's put it that way. That's why it's called the comfort zone. Most of us move away from what we don't want and into a comfort zone, which keeps us small and it keeps us not moving towards bigger possibilities. So the second thing is that when you're creating your why, they're not goals, which are generally things that you want, right? It's about getting things, and it's about achieving particular goals. Your why is a little bit different than that. So your why is going to be a lot more. It's going to be on a deeper level. Now it will include some goals that you have. Okay, so one of the things is, especially if you're in the very beginning of this process, and Romy Neustadt talks about this in the Get Over Your Damn Self, is that in the beginning, you want it to be about you and for you, right? Because you cannot give away that which you don't have. So in the beginning of this process, she says, give yourself the space to be a little bit selfish, right? And I think that's really important. So you want to get clear about what are the things that you want for yourself and why. And then that's sort of the second thing. Third thing is you must be crystal clear. So she says you must be able to see it, smell it, hear it, taste it, experience what it is like to have that thing already in your life. So that's important. So you're creating the future, this thing that is out there that you want, in the present, as if you already have it. So you want your language, when you're creating your why, to be present tense language. Okay, so that's also a really important part of that. Okay, so I want to create with you my why, and so you have a sense of what that actually looks like instead of some intellectual concept that you're supposed to then figure out for yourself. So remember, in your why, you want to figure out why you're doing what you're doing, and then getting clear about what you don't want in your life as well, right? So if I figure out, for example, in my own life, I'm really sick and tired of not being able to see my family but every 2 years, right? My dad's 75 years old. My mom's a little bit younger than that, but if something were to happen to my dad, for example, and I had spent the last 10 years of my life sort of mostly overseas and coming home every once in a while, and something happened to him, I would never forgive myself for that, right? Or it would be a difficult process for me, right? So I do not want that in my life anymore. I'm very, very clear about that. I do not want to be constantly thinking about, do I have enough money to travel here, go there, do this, do the things that I want, right? I don't want what's possible for me to be limited by or dictated by what I have in my bank account, right? So I want freedom and control over the things that I want in my life. So you can see how identifying what I don't want, and if I just flip that around and figure out what's the opposite of that, I can figure out something that's very important to me, which is freedom of location, right? Being able to go and come and go as I please. So one of the things I want to be able to do is either live in America and then travel to places in the world where I'm building my business so I can support my team, or live in other countries while I'm abroad building my team and supporting them there, and then also being able to come back home a couple of times a year, and being able to spend time with my family there, have a home in America where I can come back and forth, right? So that's one example of how you can take a pain point and turn it into a pleasure. So for me, my why has adapted quite a bit. You'll notice that it's sprinkled in with contribution, service or service to others, and mainly impact. So the big thing that I'm working on in my life at the moment is leadership and impact. So I want my legacy to be of service and to be one of impact, right? So if I were, if I look into the future when I die, I want people to, what the story that I want told about me is that I spent my life in service to others, and making a difference in the world. So my why is focused on impact. I want to, help individuals and entrepreneurs, thousands of individuals and entrepreneurs all over the world to be the best versions of themselves and to be able to create a life that they love in health, wealth, and happiness. That's something that I'm clear. That is something I'm very, very committed to. Now, inside of that, I also want to be always evolving and growing and being the best leader that I can be in my life and then also inside of my business. So as a husband, as a devout husband and father, right? I want to be a very good leader. In my spiritual community, I want to be somebody who contributes and is a leader and lives my life by example. In my USANA business, right? I am a 15-star Diamond Director. I am a Dr. Wentz Vision Award recipient. So those are things that I am. So my affirmation is in the present moment. I have a syndicated podcast that's dedicated to talking about ideas of spiritual entrepreneurship. That's something that's very, very important to me, and I want to network with and meet other like-minded spiritual entrepreneurs in the world. And I want to have a podcast that's dedicated to that. I want to be an author. I want to be a recovery coach. As someone who's been through recovery in my life, it's something that's very near and dear to my life. It's a pain that has really given way into me being someone who's very grateful in recovery and wants to give that back to other people and teach them that there's a whole life of possibility on the other side of recovery. So that's something I'm very empowered and inspired by. I want to be an international speaker in the area of human optimization. So mind, body, spirit, or health, wealth, and happiness. Those ideas about optimizing what's possible for us as human beings. I want my children to grow up in a growth environment. So in a family where they understand the value of hard work. They believe that anything is possible for themselves, and they believe in the laws of abundance. So that they believe that anything is possible for them, but it's not given to them, right? So my kids will work for what they want because we'll teach them these powers of manifestation as well. So I want to be a devout husband and father. I want to spoil my wife, and I want to be able to live life on my own terms, right? So I want to be able to not have my life dictated to me by anyone else, but I want to be able to live in my own terms and teach other people to do exactly the same things. So those are the things that I'm very passionate about. That's my why at the moment, and that is the thing that really, really fires me up. And the thing that I love about where I am in my life right now is when I close my eyes, I feel like those are all things. I don't know how I'm going to get there, straight up, right? I'm a gold director, living into being a 15-star diamond director. But I know that I will create that, right? So that's present for me right now. It's not a one-day, someday phenomenon. That's something that I am working towards right now, right? So I have to be a 15-star diamond director right now in order to create that in my life. So I hope that makes sense to you guys, and that gives you a better sense of what it looks like to create a why. And I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys, and I can't wait to hear your whys. So if you've created them for yourselves, leave them in the group below or in the comments below. And love you guys, and hope that makes a big difference. And we'll see you soon.